Hello, I'm Caroline. Thank you for joining me for some yoga today. We're going to come into some supine yoga. That basically means lying down. So there are mornings when actually I want to just slightly gentler practice, and we try to practice slightly gentler in the mornings anyway, to be gentle, waking up our bodies and stretching them out. But also it feels sometimes to be a little bit more supported. And by that, I mean, if we're lying on the floor, we'll feel a little bit more supported. And it's also very grounding as well. So to begin with, let's come to lying down. Feet are about hip distance apart, lying down your back, knees are bent. And allowing the shoulders to soften, so allowing the shoulders to drop down towards the floor of the mat where you're working. And having the hands either hands up, palms down on the belly. So just working out what feels best for you to connect with your breath to begin with. Maybe gently closing down the eyes. And taking a moment to check in with your body. And by that, I mean, how do you physically feel? Maybe you notice a few knots of tightness or tension. Now start to notice the breath. Become aware of the breath and where it's reaching, where it's traveling to. And if you find or feel it's mostly in the upper chest, thinking about directing it towards the belly. So by directing the breath towards the belly, it'll encourage the lungs to expand a little more. You may feel the back of the body expanding, the back of the rib cage pushing down on the floor or the mat. And if you do feel any tightness in the body, visualizing the breath reaching those areas. So visualizing the breath massaging and softening those areas, loosening the tightness, softening the tightness, unknotting any knots. And taking 3 more breaths here in your own time and really directing the breath into the belly now. To expand the rib cage in all directions. Gently opening your eyes when you're ready. We're going to work with some gentle supine twists to begin with. So maybe taking the feet a little bit further out and a little bit wider, bringing the hands down to the sides of the body. We're going to gently rotate by dropping the knees from one side and then to the other. So you'll notice my feet are not moving. They're just rocking and rolling onto the sides of the feet. So quite a gentle lower back stretch. Just slowly waking up the lumbar spine. So we're going to start working with the breath, breathing in as we come up, breathing out as we come down. Breathing in to bring the legs up, breathing out to come down. And trying to make the movement last as long as the breath. So while stretching out the lumbar spine here, working into the hip joint, hip socket, and even waking up the glutes a little as well. Making this your last one. And when you bring your knees back up to center, drawing them in for Apanasana, giving the knees a gentle hug and letting go. We'll do this 3 times. And then placing the feet back on the floor. So we're back into feet parallel, about hip distance apart. And we're going to come into some pelvic tilt. So you may feel more stable if you have the hands down the sides of the body. So we won't come into full bridge today, just some gentle movements of the lower back and the pelvis. So as we breathe in, we're tilting the pelvis up, the tailbone's moving away from us. And as we breathe out, we're coming back down. So gently pushing the pelvis up towards the ceiling. The rest of the back is still on the floor. And then coming back down. So breathing on in the movement up, breathing out as you come back to your neutral spine. Breathing in to take the tailbone up towards the sky. And breathing out to come back to neutral. So this is great for the lumbar spine. This is a really good one to remember if you've been doing quite a lot of bending over or things like gardening. Massaging the back and bringing a little bit of a length again back to the lower area of the back as well. Gently making that your last one, coming back to your neutral spine. We're going to hug our right knee in. So bringing that right knee in towards the chest. If you would like a stronger stretch and you feel that's possible this morning, then extending the left leg out. And as you lengthen that left leg, making sure the foot is flexed, so the toes are pointing up to the sky. And then gently releasing, we'll go over to the side. So we'll do each side for 5 breaths. We're going to reach in, give the left knee a hug. Maybe this is enough for you today. If you want a little bit more, extending the right foot out. So the toes are pointing up to the sky, active right foot. And then gently letting go when you've completed your 5 breaths. We're going to bring the right ankle, so the outside of the right ankle onto the left thigh. So making that almost figure of 4 shape here. So this is a supine version really of pigeon pose. So we can get into the glutes and the hip area. And it feels a little bit more gentle or a little bit more supported. Bringing the hands, palms down towards the floor, either side of the body to help stabilize your body. And then we're going to draw in the left leg. So I like to teach it without using the hands to hold onto the thighs, just to keep the shoulders soft and the neck relaxed. Maybe engaging the belly, the transverse abdominal muscles as well to support the lower back. Maybe you could draw that left leg in a little bit further. And then gently releasing. And we'll move over to the side. So the outside of the left ankle is going to be resting on the right thigh. Just settle yourself, reset if you need to. And then we're drawing in that right knee. And you will notice a difference between both sides. If you have been sitting a lot, maybe not moving as much over the last few days, you may notice quite a lot of tightness in the hips and the glutes. But also we're always dominant on one side. So if you're dominant on one side, it just means one side's going to be a little bit tighter than the other. Gently dropping that right leg down, releasing the left foot, and we'll come back into Apanasa for 3 gentle knee hugs here. And bringing the knees back down towards the mat. We're going to now extend our right leg up, keeping a bend to begin with. So as it's not weight bearing, it's safe for the knee to be straight here, but starting just bent. So we're encouraging that right hip to ground. We don't want to bring the whole hip off the floor. So just checking that's where you are. Maybe you'd like some support for that right leg. So maybe clasping the hands behind the thigh, encouraging the shoulders to stay soft. And then from here, reaching through the heel. So rather than locking a knee, trying to think about reaching through the heel. So we're lengthening the back of the leg, the hamstrings. The foot is flexed. And so just working with your body today. Keeping a bend in the knee if the hamstrings are particularly tight. And then gently releasing that right leg. And we'll go over to the other side. So reaching through the left heel, holding on behind the left leg, really just to support, allowing the shoulders to soften. So remembering we don't want hunched shoulders. We want to keep the shoulders soft so we've got space for the breath. And then noticing the difference on this side. Maybe it feels tighter, maybe it doesn't. And starting to reach through the heel. So we want to be mindful of knees in all our standing postures, thinking about supporting them, looking after the knee joint. But as we're lying down, the knee isn't weight bearing, so it's safe to straighten the leg. We're really thinking about reaching through the heel. And then gently releasing the left foot. So we've worked with the lower back, we've worked with the back of the legs, and we are now going to work in the upper body a little bit more now. So we're going to come into eagle arms with our hands lying down. So supine eagle arms, which feels lovely, but it takes a little bit of concentration. So we're going to reach out with our hands, our fingertips, right up towards the sky. And then we're going to take our right arm over our left at the elbow joint. From here, we want to keep wrapping that right arm round. So it might be the back of the hands you get to, it might be the palms, keeping a bend in the elbows. Draw the shoulder blades back down the spine and then reach away with the elbows a little bit. So normally this is a standing posture, eagle pose, but eagle arms can be great for creating some space in the upper back. Good stretch for the top of the shoulders, the trapezius muscles. Remembering to breathe. Slowly unraveling your arms and going over to the other side. So reaching up to the ceiling again, the sky, and we're going to take the left arm on top of the right at the elbow joint, and from here, wrapping the hands around as far as you can. Doesn't matter where you get to. Maybe you're just hands back to back. We're looking for a little bit of a stretch across the shoulders, reaching away with the elbows, drawing the shoulder blades back down, back. Very gently releasing the arms as well. As we're lying down, we'll do some neck stretches, head stretches. So feeling very supported. We're going to take the head towards the left-hand side. So looking over your left shoulder. Coming back up to center and looking over the right. And going just as far as you can. And coming back up to center. We're going to breathe in to take our arms back and breathe out to bring them forwards. So you might have enough space behind you to extend the arms all the way. You might need to keep a sort of softness in the elbows, depending on the space around you. And also if you have any shoulder injuries, that might feel more comfortable as well. So we're going to breathe in, take the arms back, and breathe out to bring the arms forwards. We're going to do that 4 more times. So breathing in to reach the arms back. Breathing out to bring the arms forwards. A little bit of movement in the shoulder joint. And then from here, back to center. One of the last movements I want to do while we're lying down is some rotations in the ankle. So I've lifted up my right foot and you'll see I'm making some circles with my right foot. Both directions, 4 or 5 on each direction and changing directions. And you can point and flex the foot as well. So working a little bit more here with the ankle joint. Bringing that right foot back down and then working with the left ankle. So starting with some circles. And then pointing and flexing the left foot. So hopefully you're already feeling the benefits of a supine yoga session. Stretching the body out, but with the support of the earth. It can feel much more grounding, much calmer. We're going to take our time to come up to sitting. So I always suggest you roll to your right hand side, leaving the space for the heart a little more. So gently rolling over to the right hand side and pushing yourself up to a comfortable seated position. So sitting tall, sitting cross-legged if that's comfortable for you, or kneeling, whatever feels most comfortable for you today, sitting tall. And remembering we want that lovely length in the spine, all the way through the crown of the head. Maybe tucking the chin just a few centimeters, elongate the back of the neck, and then dropping the shoulders. So allowing the shoulders to drop down, and the hands can be palms down, face up, whatever feels good for you today. Closing down the eyes if that feels okay today as well. And bringing the attention back to the breath. So using the breath as an anchor now to bring stillness to the mind. The mind wanders, as it will do naturally, bringing the mind, the thoughts, back to the breath. One of the hardest things to do is to come into stillness with the mind and remembering that this is the aim of yoga. We stretch out our body to allow us to have a sense of calm and serenity, to be able to meditate and sit still. This is one of the hardest practices to do. So as thoughts filter into the mind, acknowledge them, take a moment to acknowledge them, and then bring your attention back to the breath. Think of them as clouds in the sky passing through with the breeze. Remember to keep the length in the spine. Noticing the breath expanding in all directions. And bring your hands together at heart center, joining both halves of the body together. Taking a moment just to acknowledge if you found some stillness in just those couple of minutes. Stillness in the mind, stillness in the body. Thanking yourself for practicing yoga today. Supportive, restorative, grounding yoga practice. And taking our hands up to our forehead to remind us to have kind thoughts, to our lips to remind us to have kind words, and back down to our heart center to remind us to have kind actions. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for this short practice today. I hope you found it beneficial. If you did enjoy it, please do click subscribe so you'll get notifications on other live classes and videos uploaded to my YouTube channel and when they're available. Otherwise, it's goodbye from me. I hope to see you again on your mat, practicing in the future.